Alright, so today we are looking at solving absolute value equations. We have the absolute value of a number is its distance from zero. A couple other pieces of vocab on here. If you have the empty set, that means there's no solution, and it can be shown with these brackets that have nothing in them, or the little circle with the slash through it. A constraint is a condition that a solution must satisfy, and then an extraneous solution is a solution that is found correctly but isn't actually a solution. So let's go through each of these examples here. So example 1, it says evaluate 2.7 plus 6 minus 2x, and that's the quantity, absolute value quantity of that, if x is equal to 4. So I'm going to substitute a 4 in there for the x. So and then we're going to simplify this. So using my order of operations, I'm going to work on the inside and do multiplication. And then I am going to subtract inside there. And now that we get down to this point and it's all simplified, the absolute value of a negative number is a positive number because it's a distance. I need you to switch your mind into thinking that it is a distance from 0. So this would become 2.7 plus positive 2, because if you look on the number line, negative 2 is 2 units away from 0. So then if I go back here and add those, that gives me 4.7. Okay, example 2. We are going to solve this one. So when you have absolute value, it's going to split into two solutions, because if you think about, if I go back to this little number line that I drew, if I'm looking for a distance of 2 from 0, you would have positive 2 and negative 2 that are both 2 units away from 0. So what this is saying is we want to find the two spots where this stuff inside of here will be 8 units away from 0. So I'm going to take this stuff and I'm going to say that could be equal to 8, which will give me the right side of that number line, or it could be at the negative 8, which gives me the left side. So they're both still just the same distance away from 0, and then I'm going to solve both of these. So if I subtract 3, I get y equals 5, and if I subtract 3 over here, I get y equals negative 11. So those would both be solutions, and you could actually list them like this. This is called roster notation. It's a way of just listing your solutions. And so if you plugged them back in, you could check it. Also, if I put a 5 in here, 5 plus 3 is 8. Absolute value of 8 is 8. If I put a negative 11 in there, negative 11 plus 3 is negative 8, and absolute value of negative 8 is positive 8. So those would be our solutions, both 5 and 11. Okay, so on example 3 here, so the first thing we want to do is we want to get the absolute value stuff on this one side of the equation by itself. So I want to isolate this piece so that's on one side. So since I still have this plus 5, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Okay, so now what this is saying is this stuff has a distance of negative 5 from 0. So you can't have negative distance, so this actually has no solution. So I'm going to put that empty set, no solution, because you can't have a negative distance. Alright, one more example. This will be a short one. Example 4 says solve and check. So I look at it and I see that I do have the stuff that's inside the absolute value on the one side of the equation by itself. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split it into the two, the positive version and the negative version. So I have 8 plus y equals 2y minus 3, or I could have 8 plus y equals negative of that whole side. So notice that I have that outside of the parentheses there. So I'm going to draw a little line down the middle here. So if we simplify this, I'm going to subtract y. and then add 3. So I get 11 there. And then on this side, I have to first distribute that negative sign because that's like a -1. And now I'm going to combine like terms, solve, all that good stuff. So I'm going to bring this over to the other side by adding it. And then subtract the 8. Oh, there goes my lights. And this gives me 3y equals -5, and I would divide by 3, which y gives me -5/3 here. So I have 2 answers, and I need to check these. So let's first check the 11. If I substitute an 11 back in here, 8 plus 11 is 19. Absolute value of 19 is 19. If I put an 11 here, 2 times 11 is 22. 22 minus 3 is 11. So this is a good solution. That one works. Now I'm going to substitute the other one in using the calculator. So I would have 8 plus, and then the fraction I'm going to type in as a, can you see my calculator there? There we go. As division here. So that's how I'm typing in that fraction. So that gives me 6 1/3. And then on the other side, that gives me -6 1/3. Since I have one positive answer and one negative answer, those are not equal to each other. So this would be considered one of those extraneous solutions that we had as a vocab word there. So this is not actually a solution in here. So the only solution we really have is the 11 on there. Okay, so you have the last 2 to try on your own. This 3 on here, this is being multiplied onto the front there, so just be careful with that because it kind of looks like it's just hanging out there. So make sure that you isolate this absolute value stuff first before you do anything else. And for your joke of the day, why couldn't the sesame seed leave the casino? It's because he was on a roll. Okay, hope you have a wonderful day and make sure that you're nice to someone today.